Hello everybody, this is your Knowledge Geek and I've decided to start a new series for Fridays. It's Friday, I'm going to do a craft book, a book about writing, about the craft and the business of writing. And since I've been in the process of reading a lot of books like that recently, I have read the entire Write Smarter, Write Faster, no, it's the other way, Write Faster, Write Smarter, a series by Chris Fox. I've done reviews for the first two books, and there will be tabs at the end to lead you to those reviews. So you can watch this review and then go and watch the other two because they can be watched out of order, honestly. And today we're talking about the third book in the series, Right to Market, which, in my opinion, is the one book of the series you should definitely read. Here it is, Right to Market, deliver a book that sells. And I know that just by saying the words Right to Market, some of you may have already took your pitchforks and torches and you're coming here to, deliver justice. And actually, I pretty much like how Chris Fox, it's the first thing he says, because really, Right to Market is a very controversial thing, and I'll read it to you from the horse's mouth. Some of you are immediately skeptical. Others are grabbing pitchforks and torches. Yes, I'm stealing parts of a book for my review. Writing to market has some nasty connotations, and we've all been taught that what it really means is that you're selling out. I'm here to tell you that absolutely is not the case. So, what is right to market? Right to market is a methodology of market research so that you can choose a book, to write a book that is commercially viable. Or if you're writing a book, how to make it commercially viable. And it's not about the merits of art versus craft versus, suffering artists and stuff. The entire series is a guide on how to be a full-time indie author. And what I like in the series is that there is a clear progression. In the first book, 5,000 words per hour, you learn how to be more productive. In the second book, Lifelong Reading Habit, you learn how to write consistently. So, Write to Market is about choosing which book you should write. And I know there are some very radical ideas in this book too. I mean, this Chris Fox guy bases his entire methodology on some very radical ideas, some may consider heretical, like that writers should read. I mean, what? Writers reading? That's like preposterous. That's heresy. That's not Sparta. Definitely not Sparta. And what I really like in the series too is that Chris Fox has this tendency to be very honest about his successes and his failures. This gives him a lot of relatability, and this is a trick often used by non-fiction self-help books, trying to make the author relatable. But here it's also very grounded. He doesn't say that, oh yes, I've done everything and you should do XYZ and you get tens of thousands of dollars in book sales per month. No, he doesn't. He's very humble about his successes and very honest about his failures, and that's very good because you have a guy who has already done this stuff, and he is telling you what worked and what did not. He is saving you time and effort and costs of making the same mistakes. And that's always something that is really helpful with these books. Yes, most of this information is already available on the internet for free, but here it's packaged in a very slim ebook that is easy to read. You can read in an hour or two. At the moment, it costs $1, so it's nothing important really. And I don't know, maybe it gets a bit more expensive by the time you go to Amazon, and there's a link below in the description of this video. It's an affiliate link, and you get it for $1 and read it in an afternoon. So You lose nothing out of it. It's a dollar, for God's sake. And this book, Right to Market, is actually about him failing in something. Remember when I did the review for the first book, 5,000 words per hour? He was talking very excited about his new book, the new book he was preparing, and how awesome it was going to be. And this book flopped. And it flopped really hard, which is unfortunate for such a nice guy because I've seen his videos. He's a nice guy. He seems to be a great guy. He actually goes out and say it flopped because X, Y, and Z. And actually, my first books did this, and this. And so, in my next book, Destroyer, I'm going to follow the method I'm describing here. And he goes on describing what he did and how this works and why it works. And he was taught all these things by other indie authors, the Mr. Market, in the dedication here to Mr. Market, who's an indie author who taught him a lot about writing and to market, at least, the method he's describing here. And Destroyer, spoiler warning, it was very successful for him and actually made him able to quit his day job, I believe. It was very successful because he followed these methods and because he did the exercises he describes after every chapter, which I did not again. So the idea of right to market is that you research the market, you find some profitable niches you are interested in writing in. This is very important for right to market, and most of this heavyweight, rapid releasing indie authors will say that yes, you should write a story you're invested in, because if you're a hack and you write, for instance, romance, because many people think that right to market or right to trend, which is another version of right to market, is you should write romance and crime and thrillers. And if you're interested into this genres, you're going to fail. And actually, Chris Fox found out that space opera was a lucrative field. There was constant demand and not enough offerings because most publishing houses consider space opera to be a dead genre at the moment. So he thought, yes, it's a hungry genre, it's an evergreen genre. I would love to write it. I love to watch Star Trek and Babylon 5 and play Mass Effect. He read some books on the genre. He explains how he did that. I won't tell you that because I want you to buy the book. I'm getting some sense if you click on the link below. And that's how he came up with it, and that's why he was successful. And if you want to have a successful book out there, it's a great methodology. I think it works. And okay, I work in traditional publishing, in not in the US, of course, and that's what publishers do. Honestly, that's what publishers do. Only they don't write the books themselves. They just get the manuscripts and say, "Oh, this can sell. I'll have it out." Or, "Yeah, okay, it's good, but it probably won't sell." And you have to choose based on this if it will sell or not. If you want to remain viable, and you want to remain viable, you want to have long-selling books or big-selling books in order to be able to stay in business. That's the principle. Only you produce the books yourselves. You don't look for manuscripts coming for for consideration. That's all it is. And if you're going to write 5 books in a genre to make a living, it'll be great if you're actually invested in writing in something you're interested in. And I also like how Chris Fox is not afraid to give some tough love and say that yes, doing the exercises. All right, I'll drink my tea and get some shade. You should do that in order to succeed. If it comes to starting a new project, yes, I'm following those steps. This is my second time reading this book, so I followed some of the stuff on my first go while I was planning and writing a current draft I have. Much of the success of this method relies on writing fast and constantly, so you can hit the trends and the hot niches fast because other people will rush in and take those spots. And maybe by the time you have finished the book you're planning, the market will be saturated. Unfortunately, the Amazon marketplace is dealing with this problem, There are many books produced every day, and there are people who have very fast pace and can produce books really fast and identify niches. And actually, right to trend is exactly that. That's the difference between right to market and right to trend. If you are wondering, right to trend means you identify a very hot niche and you rush in to put books in there very fast in order to take advantage of it if it's underserved. And right to market allows for evergreen markets too. That's the main difference. So, for instance, writing a space opera military fantasy is writing to market because there is always demand for that. However, if there is demand for space opera with, I don't know, cat people, aliens fighting robots, and that's a trend and people love it and want more of that, then if you write specifically that, that's writing to trend. That's the difference. Actually, something else that comes up in this book, in chapter 8, 80% is good enough. It's the principle of minimum viable product, which it will be controversial to some people. It basically means that you should not try to make a perfect book. You try to write a good book, and there can be some mistakes, there can be some typos, there may be, some things missing or something, but as long as the story is good and the book is entertaining and is hitting all the tropes and your readers are enjoying it, you shouldn't worry about it. And I know that many of us, many writers, are also readers, and we want to the best out of our books. So the idea of getting not 100% or 110% out of a book is a bit tough. But again, when we're talking about commercial fiction, and this book is about commercial fiction, not award-winning literary books. It's very clear all over the book. Again, we're not the target audience. Target audience is people who buy and read a lot of books, and they're more interested in reading an entertaining book and will ignore some typos or some not optimal writing if they enjoy it. So that's what you're getting in this method and style of writing, the rapid release, right to market industry. So, do I believe you should get this book? Absolutely. Even if you're not planning to write 6 books a year or a book every month, and you don't want to follow a current trend, you want to write the books you want to write, you'll learn a thing or two about how to make your book commercially viable. And again, what I really enjoy about Chris Fox is that he's not here to give you a silver bullet methodology that will win every time. No, he is actually taking the last chapter to say that you have to pay your dues in order to succeed. You have to work very hard, harder than you expected, in order to make it as a self-published writer. So yes, it's not a perfect book, I guess, but it gets the 80% of what you'd expect if you want to choose what book to write and how to choose what book to write and how you should write them and some of the decisions you want to make if it's going to be commercially viable. So I guess it's worth a read in my book, and there's a link below. I hope you liked this video. If you did, press the like button, subscribe for more craft videos coming every Friday, hopefully without issues like the first version of this video that came out without sound. Oopsie. And I'll see you soon. If you've read this book, please leave a comment below. Thank you for watching.